Hello once again, boys and girls, and welcome back to the Aotearoa Whiskey Club's Whiskey 101 series. I believe now we're on number 18, and today we're actually going to talk about one of our number one questions that we get. It's what are blended whiskeys? The difference between blends and your single malts. So blended whiskeys are, in a nutshell, exactly what they say they are. Just a marriage of a whole bunch of single malts. And, okay, so we all know from our previous 101s that all single malts are made of single malt, malted barley, right? And then when you talk about your blended whiskeys, you're going to add a bit of grain, typically corn, into there. That's what's going to give it that soft sweetness, so to speak, and it makes it just so easy, so much more palatable to drink than the single malts. Sometimes, from what people will say, single malts can be a bit harsh. When they're going down the throat, a bit of a burn. It takes a little while to get used to, as opposed to your blended whiskeys tend to be a bit sweeter, a bit softer. They slide down your throat quite easy. And the reason that they're 90% of the world's whiskey market. So to put that into perspective, let's just say for easiness, easy numbers, and me being the American that I am, easy with math. So let's say that in Scotland that there's 1 million barrels laying down maturing. 900,000 of those barrels go to blends. So only a very, very small portion, that 100,000, that 10%, go for single malts. So what that tells you is single malts, you're getting the best of those barrels. Those other 900,000, I don't want to say you can make a mistake, but you can have some average whiskeys chucked in there. When you're marrying thousands of barrels together, you can have one that's a bit average, and it kind of gets covered up by the beauty of the others. And that's very rare, however, because most barrels that are laying down, they've been checked and rechecked, and they're phenomenal anyway. But back to our blends. Okay, so we're going to marry all this stuff together, put a little bit of corn in there, a little bit of grain, and that's what's going to give us our blend. Typically, the grain high content is quite high. The grain content is quite high. And when I say quite high, sometimes up to upwards of 85, 90%. Sometimes it's quite low, 40 or 50%. Now, there are some exceptions when we talk about blends. There's something like your monkey shoulders that you're familiar with, your Johnny Walker Greens that you're familiar with, and whiskeys, blended whiskeys like that are called, we used to call them vattings, which I prefer the word vatting, but they've kind of taken that word out of the vocabulary, and they now call them blended malts as opposed to blended whiskey. So blended whiskeys, and then you've got blended malts. So when we're talking blended malt, we're only talking a marriage of single malts, no grain. So in Johnny Walker's case, you're talking 4 different single malts, the Johnny Walker Green, that is. The monkey shoulder, that's 3 different single malts. That represents the 3 different monkeys, or the 3 monkeys that are on that bottle. When you see the exterior of the bottle of monkey shoulder, you see the 3 little monkeys there. They represent the 3 different single malts in there. As I say, Johnny Walker Green label has 4 single malts. The Ballantines, the famous Strausses, the Johnny Walker Blacks of the world, they can have, excuse me, as many as 30 plus whiskeys in there, all married together with some grain. So that's basically it in a nutshell. Your blends, a marriage of a bunch of different single malts, chuck in a little bit of grain, corn in there, your blends. Your vatting or your single malt, blended malts, that's where you have just single malt, no grain in there. And of course, we've already discussed the definition in our early 101s, single malts from 3 ingredients only, your malted barley, water, and yeast. That's it. But that's it in a nutshell, guys. So blends, single malts, there's your difference. Until next time, we'll see you then. Ciao.